Remember, if for any reason you must leave your radio, please have the man at the door stamp your ear so you can listen again later.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
Screen pass to Trayshawn DeAndre on the right side. He dodges Crushman, makes his way to the end zone. Touchdown. Wait a second. I think there's a flag on the play.
All right, you guys got holding on number 97, right?
Yeah, definitely holding. No touchdown.
All right, make the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was holding.
So make the call.
Or, we say the flag was for an excessive celebration so they can keep the touchdown and apply the penalty to the kickoff, huh? What do you say?
What are you talking about? I didn't see excessive celebration.
You sure? Could have sworn I saw a little nay-nay going on.
What's going on with you, man?
All right, look, guys, I got to be real with you. Trayshawn DeAndre just scored that touchdown. Okay, I have him on my fantasy team this week. I need these points.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, Bill. I'm playing against my father-in-law this week, and if he doesn't score this touchdown, I lose.
Well, I'm not going to let you make a bad call because you're in some fantasy football league.
Make the call.
Craig, no. If you make one bad call.
This works out perfectly, Bill. I started the quarterback who threw the touchdown pass. We're going to have to ignore the holding call.
I have the kicker, and I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't convert on third down, so he'd have to kick the field goal.
Armchair.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year-long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, in your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
Come at the king, you best not miss.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in socially distanced dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
This is Jim Rome. Join me in the jungle for your phone calls and the biggest names in sports. Stop by weekdays, noon until 3 Eastern, 9 to noon Pacific.
Hey, it's your home, and I need to ask you a few favors. In the kitchen, there's a spider stuck between the window and the screen, and I know it's dead, and technically it's outside, but it's still freaking me out. Can you flick it out or something? Also, just to save some money, and it's super easy, could you bundle your home and car insurance with Geico? Last thing, could you take the holiday decorations down? Yeah, I'm one of those.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ground.
Sorry for that delay. Hit the wrong button, and they were trying to update something. I wasn't going to let them update it. Don't they know we got a damn show going on here? All right. Away we go. And here we are. The national title game for college football. Let's get into that first, and then we'll get into all the doings of the National Football League here in a second. Look, it's real simple. It's Georgia. It's Alabama. It's number 1 versus number 2. It's a rematch. It's what everybody wants to see. They want to see, can Georgia get off the mat after getting their asses handed to them, to be frank. The first time through, they looked terrible. They looked like a team. They looked like what Cincinnati looked like. They looked like what Michigan looked like, a team that didn't belong, a team that was lost. Now, as of right now, more bets are going in on Alabama. They're getting 3 points. But 58% of the bets are going to Alabama. 76% of the money is on the Georgia Bulldogs. The over-under is 53. The two teams are going to battle again for a second time. Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs have never beaten Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Something's got to give for anything to change, right? And I believe the key to this entire game, the key to a Georgia national championship, is going to be two simple things. Can they get pressure on Young and make him make mistakes like he made in several other games earlier in the year? But most of those teams did it by bringing the house. Is Georgia going to continue to sit back and rush 3, rush 4? Are they going to do that, or are they going to come after them? Because I don't believe Georgia can get the kind of pressure that they want to get on Bryce Young without sending a 5th and 6th blitzer routinely. You obviously can't do it every play. It becomes too predictable. But that's where it's at. Georgia's going to have to pick their plays on which they're going to come in and attack heavy and put the pressure on Young, make him beat you. If you let him sit back there, he's going to pick you apart. It's how he won his Heisman Trophy. But in a couple of the games where he really struggled were, look, Texas A&M, Auburn, LSU, every single one of those teams had something in common. They got pressure on Bryce Young. And you're going to have to, I think Georgia's going to have to send the house. Make them burn. Make him burn them. The other key offensively, I think this game is going to be won, and this is good. This is a strange thing to say in this day and time in the world of football, not just college football, but football across the board. It's going to be the tight ends. Can the Georgia tight ends step up and make big plays, not just on making sure that they move the chains and make the big catches, but also helping out on blocking when they stay home? And that's going to be the key between these two teams. These two teams have had, 10 days off to prepare for this game? They'll be ready. They obviously have played each other before. And it's going to be a game where obviously you don't want to make the big mistake. If you make the big mistake, there's a good chance you're going to cost your team. I think it's going to be a much tighter game, much closer game. You look at the matchup the first time where Georgia was just manhandled 41-24. I think you're going to see a little lower scoring game than that. And I think you're going to see Georgia try to eat some clock. But when it's all said and done, that Georgia defense has got to find a way to get into Young's kitchen. And I'll get into my prediction here in a little bit, but I think it's going to be pretty good ball game. I know a lot of people are expecting Alabama to just mop the floor with Georgia again. I am not expecting that. I'm expecting a good game. We'll get into that in a second. All right. The next thing up on the docket is this. A lot of NFL firings today. And one in particular that I thought was ridiculous and made absolutely no sense was Brian Flores getting let go from the Miami Dolphins. I don't understand it whatsoever. I get it. He's had 3 seasons and has not made the playoffs. But he inherited a really bad football team in Miami. And he's gotten them to a point where they're realistically just a good quarterback play from not just winning, getting into the playoffs next year, but competing for the division, possibly even the conference. But Tua Tagovailoa is just, he's not the answer. He doesn't have the arm strength. He's a guy that I think can be a great backup for years. He's a guy that'll probably get his opportunity to start. But I don't see a Tua Tagovailoa ever starting for a team that makes the playoffs unless that defense is lights out. Tua was a bad pick by the general manager, and now they're running Flores out because I believe Flores wants to go get Watson. And Miami general manager is on record saying he has no desire to go after Watson. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he is going to have to go out there. He's either going to go out and bring in Watson, or he's going to have to bring in somebody. Now, maybe Miami can lure Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? Obviously, the next coach will have a lot to do with that. But however you look at it, Tua Tagovailoa, he needs to be on the way out of Miami as well. Because whoever takes over the job, if Tua is the coach, the quarterback, you're not going to get any difference in what you got in Miami the last few years. I thought what Flores did, considering how bad Tua is comparatively, I thought he did an incredible job. Flores will get another opportunity somewhere, and he will shine. And that's the memo on that. Now, as far as the other teams that are out there that have gotten rid of their coaches, we won't go dot by dot and coach by coach and what they've done and what they haven't done, because we're trying to keep this a pretty short show. But Minnesota, Chicago, we already talked about Miami, Jacksonville, Denver, Seattle, and the Giants. Well, the Giants now need a general manager. Seattle, we don't know about. So Seattle, as of right now, Pete Carroll is staying there, but they have not made it through the beginning of this offseason. And there's been a lot of speculation that Pete Carroll wants to step down, does not want to coach anymore, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see what happens with that. But the ones that we do know, Minnesota, Chicago, Miami, Jacksonville, and Denver. We know those. And if we're ranking those jobs 1 through 5, I think the best job out there of those 5, and I don't think it's particularly close, is Minnesota. They've got all the pieces. Someone just has to take them to the next step. I even think that you could probably still win with Kirk Cousins. I know the easy and quick thing that everybody wants to do is go out and get the young, flashy quarterback they think they can bring in, or even an older veteran. Do you think you can bring in a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers or whatever? But Minnesota's got a pretty good squad. But they have severely underperformed. They've got to fix the defense. But when you've got Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, not to mention some of the other guys they've got like Madison and whatnot, they've got an offense that can move the ball. Now they've got to bring in a coaching staff that is going to improve that defense. They're going to have to do some things in free agency and in the draft. But Minnesota is my number one job right now. The number two job, I think, is Denver. And Denver could vault to number one if Aaron Rodgers comes to calling like a lot of folks thinks he is. Denver's got one of the best defenses in all the NFL. I felt like they shouldn't have fired their head coach. There's no arguing that you needed to make a change in Chicago, that you needed to make a change in Jacksonville, and that Minnesota, Zimmer had just run its course. But Denver and Miami, I don't know. I think I would have stuck it out with them. Miami got rid of Flores because he's not seeing eye to eye with that general manager. Mark my words, that general manager will be gone before too long, and everyone will realize Flores was a great coach. Flores would be a great coach to bring into Minnesota, by the way. He can install a defense into Minnesota, and you keep those offensive players. Minnesota should be pounding down Flores' door right now. So number one, Minnesota. Number two, Denver. Number three, job on the market out there as of right now between Jacksonville, Miami, and Chicago. I got to go with what squad, what roster I would want. I think it would probably be the Miami job. They've got a pretty good roster. They've just got to figure out the quarterback. And then Chicago would be the next, because Chicago's got some decent players, some good roster. Jacksonville is a complete rebuild. Urban Meyer did nothing in year one. All he did was go out and get Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence has shown glimpses of greatness. Made a couple of great throws yesterday. But all in all, you're starting with a blank canvas when it comes to Lawrence. He was done a disservice. Lawrence being drafted, not because he was drafted by Jacksonville, because he was drafted by Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer put him behind. I'll say Trevor Lawrence would have been better off staying at Clemson one more year than doing what he did in Jacksonville this year, which was basically run for his life. Now, that touchdown that he threw late in the third quarter to Marvin Jones in the back of the end zone to put Jacksonville up 3 touchdowns at that point, that was a beautiful pass on a busted play. And the Jacksonville defense, they played outstanding yesterday. But it's not a roster that you would want over those others. The fans will come out in the Jacksonville games, but they've got to have something to be excited about. Other than if you don't put a good product on the field, your Jacksonville football fan will spend their money on Saturdays heading to Tallahassee, to Gainesville, to Athens, Georgia, you name it, and they'll just sit at home on Sunday afternoons. Or hell, they'll go out to the beach. Next thing up on the docket, the NFL playoffs. Just going to say this real quick and to the point. Staley, the head coach of the Chargers, he cost his team their season. First of all, midway through the third quarter, you're down a field goal and you go for it on fourth and it was 4th and a long one. They called it one to look closer to 2. Regardless, it's 17-14. Punt that damn ball and restart. You handed them what turned out to be a field goal. but you handed them those points. That's number one. And the number two, he calls a timeout as the clock is winding down in overtime to get his personnel on the field, as he put it. And while he's doing that, he totally changed the game script of that game. If he just keeps the timeout in his damn pocket, the Raiders were going to run the clock out and be happy with a with a tie. The Raiders would have went to the playoffs. The Chargers went to the playoffs. It would have been the Steelers sitting at home. Now we have to watch the Steelers get the crap kicked out of them by Kansas City because Ben Roethlisberger is a shadow of his former self. We've already seen this game. It was like 3 weeks ago. It was an embarrassment. And we're going to miss out on what would have been a really fun game, possibly. I'm trying to remember the way it was set up. I believe it would have been Raiders versus Chiefs, and it would have been Bengals versus Chargers. Two great shootouts that would have been, because the Raiders are playing pretty good football. Don't sleep on them this weekend. The Raiders are not an automatic out. Excuse me. But that's the biggest takeaway from this weekend. The Chargers should have been in the playoffs if their head coach knew what the hell he was doing. And this all comes down to analytics. He's one of these analytic dorks that they hired, and he's going to go by the analytic. And that was the whole reason why he called the timeout, because he wanted the percentages of this guy and this guy instead of being present in the damn game. He's not present in the game. He's more worried about it's the same thing with the going forward on fourth down. And I know they've done it a few times. Here's my thing. When you're down 17-14, midway through the third quarter on the road, and you go for it on fourth down at your own 18-yard line, what is the risk reward on that? You are risking giving the opposition the ball right there in the red zone. What is your reward? A first down? And you still have 80 yards to go for a touchdown? You've got to weigh out the risk reward. And it is stupid that these analytic idiots keep doing this over and over and over again, because they think they've reinvented the wheel. They think because George Halas would have punted that they're smarter. If the Chargers were smart, they would fire his ass today. He should have been let go before Brian Flores. You put Brian Flores at the Charger job, we're talking about AFC West favorites in Los Angeles next year. All right, other things that went down yesterday, other than the fact that the fans are going to get robbed of Herbert versus Burrow in the playoffs. How fun would that have been? Now we're going to get Roethlisberger running for his life against the Chiefs. And why in the hell is that the Sunday night game? Seriously? That should have been Saturday afternoon. That should have been the first thing they're only doing it because they figured the Steeler fans are going to come and watch. But that's the worst matchup of the entire week. Well, maybe Philly, Tampa. Carson Wentz and the Colts. Wentz, I don't know. I think he proved what he is. He is a quarterback that even when you have arguably one of, if not the best running backs in the National Football League, he can't get you to the playoffs. He's incredibly inconsistent, makes incredibly dumb plays. The fumble against Jacksonville behind the line was absurd yesterday. What the hell are the Colts doing only running the ball 15 times yesterday? Jonathan Taylor, 15 touches. When they're undefeated when he has 20 plus touches. Unbelievable that team is the same team that on Christmas Day went into Arizona and got a huge win and then could not win after that. The Titans get the number 1 seed. They hold on and beat Houston after putting up a big number early in the first half. They kind of took their foot off the gas and let them back in. But that's a big, big win for the Titans, mainly because you give an extra week for Derrick Henry to get healthy. And if Derrick Henry can get healthy and the Titans have to win just 2 games to get to the Super Bowl, and they're both going to be in Nashville, the first game they'll play against the lowest seed left. So if you're looking at it, worst case scenario, they would play the Buffalo Bills. Best case scenario, they would play the Steelers, but let's be realistic. The Raiders have a much better chance of beating the Bengals. That would be an incredible matchup for the Titans to host either the Steelers, the Raiders, possibly the Bengals. And then they get the AFC Championship game in Nashville. If they win that. Now we're going to do our bracketology on Friday when all the guys are with me on the Friday happy hour show at 5:00. So I won't give my prediction on then, but everyone's picking Chiefs and Packers to make the Super Bowl. That was also everyone's prediction last year too. We all saw how that turned out. One of those teams, I think, has an excellent chance of making the Super Bowl. And the other team, I don't think gets out of the second round. I'll tell more about that on a Friday's show. But looking at the weekend, you got the Raiders at Bengals at 4:30. We're going to be doing a game. Tones and I have not talked about what game we're going to do, but we're going to do a game this weekend. Raiders Bengals at 4:30. That game is going to be on NBC. The Bengals are a 6-point favorite. 49.5 is the over under. The Saturday night game, that should be a fun one. Patriots Bills in Buffalo. The weather will have a lot to do with that. Remember the first matchup? We actually did that game on Monday Night Football, and it was a brutal game because the wind was just whipping through that stadium, and the Patriots were able to bully the Bills. We'll see what the weather's like on Sunday, Saturday night. But a night game in Buffalo in January, weather could play a big, big factor there. Sunday morning or 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, the Buccaneers are going to host the Eagles. I don't think that's a game. I think the Eagles are going to get ran out of the stadium. But 4:30, Cowboys Niners, that should be a fun one. And you know it is the game of the weekend because the 4:30 Sunday afternoon kickoff is always the big ratings grabber, and that's why Cowboys 49ers is sitting there. Steelers Chiefs is Sunday night. Like I said before, I feel like Steelers Chiefs should have been Saturday afternoon. I think it's the worst of all the matchups. I expect the Chiefs to roll the Steelers. And Rams Cardinals is your Monday night game. For the first time ever, a Monday night playoff game. Will only be available on ESPN or the Plus or whatever. That should be a lot of fun. Cardinals, Rams, good rivalry. And depending on who's available to play in that game, it should be a lot of fun. So there you have that. Circling back to college football. In the game tonight, I do think the over hits. The over-under is 52. That seems a little low considering how these two teams like to have big plays. And the Georgia Bulldogs are giving up 3. See if that has changed at all. I'm still floored that Georgia is a favorite in this game. I really am. I am absolutely floored that they are the favorite, because I just would have expected, considering the history of this game, that Alabama would be the favorite. But maybe a lot of people are under the same impression that I am, which is when you play a team twice, especially this, look, it dates back to 96 when Florida State had to play Florida a second time, and Florida beat Florida State. Remember where LSU had to play Alabama a second time? Was it 2012 or 2011, whatever it was? Alabama prevailed. Typically, the rematch, especially in college football, doesn't go well for the team that won it the first time. So I'm going to take the Georgia Bulldogs. I know it's against everyone's belief, but I think the Georgia Bulldogs will win this game. I don't want to take the spread. If I'm doing anything, I'm taking the money line, because I could very well see this thing coming down to a missed 2-point conversion, whatever. So I don't want to give up. I am not giving Nick Saban points, not against Georgia. A couple years ago when he played Clemson, knew Clemson was going to bring the hammer. That was a little different, but not in this situation. But I like the Georgia Bulldogs to upset the Alabama Crimson Tide. But they're going to have to get after Young. They can't sit back there in a vanilla 3 and 4-man rush. And they're going to have to win the turnover battle. I think that goes without saying. And Georgia is going to have to do what a lot of teams did with Young that made him frustrated. A, go after him, and B, when you're not going after him, make him take the underneath route, because he will get impatient. But Georgia, you got to win. You got to run the ball, and you got to find a way to get pressure on them. I like Georgia to win that game. I'm going to go ahead and go somewhere along the lines of, I'll say 31-30. Georgia just finds a way to squeak by. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We will see you Friday for happy hour and get ready for the NFL playoff weekend. The first one we'll have that'll wrap around all the way into Monday. Looking forward to it. And as soon as we know what game we're going to broadcast, we will release that as well. Have a good one.
Meow.